Introduction. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your past or anxious about your future? The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle offers a transformative guide to breaking free from these mental traps. This book isn't just about understanding mindfulness, it's about experiencing it. Tolle invites us to embrace the present moment fully, where true peace and happiness reside. In this summary, we'll explore the key insights and practical lessons from the power of now, helping you understand how to live in the now and transform your relationship with time, pain, and yourself. Let's begin. Here's the expanded script for each chapter of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Chapter 1. You are not your mind. The first chapter of The Power of Now opens with a revolutionary idea. You are not your mind. Eckhart Tolle explains that most people identify so closely with their thoughts that they believe their thoughts define who they are. This identification creates a constant cycle of mental chatter, anxiety, and emotional pain. Tolle introduces the concept of the egoic mind. The ego thrives on attachment to thoughts, particularly those rooted in the past or the future. It convinces us that our value comes from achievements, possessions, or others' opinions, leaving us disconnected from the peace and stillness of the present moment. Breaking free from the mind. To detach from the mind, Tolle suggests becoming the observer. This means cultivating awareness of your thoughts and recognizing them as temporary patterns, not your true self. Instead of thinking, "I am angry," recognize it as, "I am experiencing anger." This simple shift creates space between you and your emotions, allowing you to respond rather than react. Practical exercise. The next time you find yourself caught in a spiral of negative thinking, pause and ask, "What is my next thought going to be?" This question disrupts the mind's momentum and brings you into a state of awareness. Key takeaway: you are the consciousness behind your thoughts. By stepping into this awareness, you can free yourself from mental suffering. Chapter 2. Consciousness and the Present Moment. In this chapter, Tolle introduces the transformative power of the present moment. He emphasizes that life unfolds only in the now, yet most people spend their time trapped in the past or future. The mind clings to regrets, guilt, or nostalgia, the past, and anticipates fear or hope, the future, causing unnecessary suffering. Why the present moment matters. The present moment is where reality exists. When you are fully present, you align with life as it is, instead of resisting it. Tolle compares living in the now to experiencing life with fresh eyes, free of the baggage of past conditioning or future expectations. Practical techniques to anchor in the now. 1. Breath awareness. Focus on your breathing to bring your attention to the present moment. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. 2. Body awareness. Tune into the sensations in your body. Notice the way your feet feel on the ground or the tension in your shoulders. 3. Mindful observation. Pay attention to the world around you, the sounds, sights, and smells, without labeling or judging them. Key takeaway: the present moment is your gateway to peace. By anchoring yourself in the now, you transcend the mental noise and connect with life's essence. Chapter 3. The Pain Body. Chapter 3 introduces one of Eckhart Tolle's most profound concepts: the pain body. The pain body is a collection of old emotional wounds, unresolved traumas, and negative experiences that we carry with us. It exists as an energy field within us, and it thrives on negativity, feeding off pain, conflict, and suffering. Tolle describes the pain body as a semi-autonomous entity, almost like a parasite, that takes over our emotions and thoughts when activated. It is responsible for much of the suffering we experience in our lives. especially when we react unconsciously to triggers from the past. What is the pain body? The pain body is created through accumulated emotional pain from past experiences. This pain can be individual, stemming from your personal life, or collective, inherited from generations of trauma or cultural oppression. For example, if you've experienced rejection in the past, your pain body might react strongly to perceived rejection in the present, even if the situation doesn't warrant it. A nation that has endured war or colonization may carry a collective pain body that influences the emotional responses of its people. The pain body isn't inherently bad, it's a result of unconsciousness. However, it becomes destructive when it takes over your thoughts, actions, and relationships. How the pain body operates. The pain body lies dormant until it's triggered. Triggers can include situations, words, or even thoughts that resonate with the stored pain. Once activated, the pain body, 1. Takes over your mind. It floods your thoughts with negativity, self-pity, anger, or resentment. 2. Feeds on negative emotions. It intensifies your emotional state, creating a cycle of suffering. 3. Seeks conflict. The pain body often instigates arguments or drama to sustain itself. For instance, in relationships, the pain body might cause you to overreact to a minor disagreement, turning it into a full-blown argument. This perpetuates suffering for both parties and strengthens the pain body. How to dissolve the pain body. Tolle emphasizes that awareness is the key to breaking free from the pain body. When you bring conscious presence to the pain body, it begins to lose its grip on you. 1. Recognize the pain body. The first step is to identify when the pain body is active. Pay attention to sudden emotional shifts or recurring patterns of negativity. 2. Observe without judgment. Instead of suppressing or fighting the pain body, observe it with curiosity and detachment. For example, notice, I feel a wave of anger arising, without labeling yourself as angry. 3. Stay present. The pain body cannot survive in the present moment. Focus on your breath, body sensations, or immediate surroundings to anchor yourself in the now. 4. Avoid identifying with it. Remind yourself that the pain body is not you. It's a temporary energy field. This separation helps you respond consciously rather than react automatically. The pain body in relationships. In close relationships, the pain body is often activated because partners mirror each other's unresolved wounds. Arguments and emotional outbursts can escalate as both pain bodies feed off each other. Tolle advises bringing presence into relationships by communicating openly about triggers, recognizing each other's pain body without judgment, focusing on shared moments of presence and connection, transforming the pain body. When you bring awareness to the pain body, it begins to dissolve. Instead of perpetuating cycles of pain, you can break free and experience healing. Tolle likens this process to alchemy, turning the base metal of suffering into the gold of consciousness. Key takeaway: the pain body is not your enemy. It's a call to awaken. By observing it without judgment, you can transform pain into peace and presence. Chapter 4. The Illusion of Time. In Chapter 4, Tolle dives deep into the concept of time and its impact on our well-being. He explains that while practical time, used for scheduling and planning, is necessary, psychological time is a mental construct that causes suffering. Psychological time occurs when we dwell on the past or project into the future, losing touch with the present moment. It's one of the main reasons people feel anxious, stressed, or unfulfilled. The two types of time. One, practical time, necessary for organizing and functioning in daily life. For example, remembering an appointment or planning a project. 2. Psychological time, the mental habit of living in the past or future. This includes dwelling on the past, reliving regrets, failures, or nostalgic moments. Projecting into the future, worrying about what might happen or fantasizing about what could happen. Tolle emphasizes that psychological time is where the ego thrives. The ego uses time to create a false sense of identity based on past achievements, failures, or future aspirations. The problem with psychological time. When you live in psychological time, you disconnect from the now. This creates unnecessary suffering in several ways. Regret and resentment. Reliving past mistakes or grudges keeps you trapped in emotions that no longer serve you. Anxiety and fear. Anticipating negative outcomes in the future causes stress and robs you of peace. Discontentment. Believing happiness lies in a future achievement makes you blind to the joys of the present. For example, if you're constantly thinking, "I'll be happy when I get a promotion," you miss the opportunity to appreciate your current life. Living beyond time. Tolle argues that true happiness and peace can only be found in the present moment. He challenges readers to ask themselves, what problem do I have at this moment? In most cases, the answer is none. Problems only exist in the mind's projections. Practical steps to transcend psychological time. 1. Shift your focus to the now. Bring your attention to what you're doing at this moment. 2. Drop the past and future. When you catch yourself ruminating about the past or future, gently redirect your focus to the present. 3. Ask presence-building questions. Am I reacting to this situation based on past pain? Is this fear rooted in reality or imagined future scenarios? Time as a tool, not a master. Tolle doesn't dismiss time entirely. He acknowledges its importance for practical purposes, like planning appointments or achieving goals. The key is to use time consciously without letting it dominate your life. For example, plan for the future, but execute those plans with full attention in the present. Learn from the past, but avoid dwelling on it emotionally. The eternal now Tolle reminds us that life always unfolds in the now. Even when we think about the past or future, we do so in the present moment. By anchoring yourself in the now, you reclaim your power and experience the fullness of life. He writes, "Time isn't precious at all because it is an illusion. What you perceive as precious is not time, but the one point that is out of time, the now. That is precious indeed." The freedom of living in the present. When you let go of psychological time, you free yourself from the burden of regret and fear. You start to experience life with clarity, peace, and joy. Key takeaway: time is a mental construct. By focusing on the now, you transcend the illusion of time and connect with the deeper essence of life. Chapter 5. The Power of Presence. In Chapter 5, Eckhart Tolle introduces presence as the antidote to mental and emotional suffering. Presence is the state of being fully aware of the now, free from distractions, judgments, and the incessant chatter of the mind. It's not something external you need to attain. It's your natural state when you let go of past and future attachments. What is presence? Presence is a state of deep awareness that connects you to life's essence. It's about being fully immersed in the current moment, experiencing life as it unfolds without resistance or interpretation. Tolle explains that presence is the key to accessing inner peace, creativity, and joy. Presence isn't a mental activity, it's a state of being. When you're present, you're no longer identified with your thoughts or emotions. Instead, you observe them without judgment. Why presence matters. 1. Freedom from suffering. Most emotional pain stems from thoughts about the past or future. Presence dissolves this pain by anchoring you in the now. 2. Connection to life. When you're present, you experience the richness of life fully, whether it's a conversation, a sunset, or even a mundane task. 3. Enhanced awareness. Presence sharpens your perception, allowing you to respond to situations with clarity and calmness. Tolle writes, "When you are present, you align with the now, and life begins to flow with ease." How to cultivate presence. 1. Use your breath. Focusing on your breath is one of the simplest ways to anchor yourself in the present. Feel the air entering and leaving your body, and let this awareness ground you. 2. Engage your senses. Tune into the sights, sounds, and sensations around you. For example, notice the texture of the chair you're sitting on or the sound of birds outside. 3. Pause between actions. Take brief pauses throughout your day to breathe and reconnect with the now before moving on to the next task. Presence in everyday life. Presence isn't just for meditation or quiet moments. It can transform every aspect of your life. In conversations, listen deeply without thinking about how you'll respond. Truly hear the other person. In work, focus fully on the task at hand instead of worrying about deadlines or multitasking. In challenges, when faced with difficulty, bring your awareness to the present moment rather than resisting the situation. Key takeaway: presence is your natural state. By cultivating presence, you unlock peace, clarity, and a deeper connection to life. Chapter 6. Surrender and Acceptance. Chapter 6 explores the transformative power of surrender. Tolle explains that resistance to the present moment creates suffering. Surrender, on the other hand, is about accepting life as it is, acknowledging reality without judgment or resistance. What is surrender? Surrender doesn't mean giving up or resigning to a negative situation. It means letting go of your mental resistance to what is. When you surrender, you accept the present moment fully, even if it's not what you wanted or expected. Tolle explains that resistance is a product of the mind, which constantly labels situations as good or bad. This labeling creates inner conflict. By surrendering, you free yourself from this mental turmoil. The power of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't change external circumstances, but it transforms your relationship with them. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, resisting the situation with frustration won't make the cars move faster. Accepting it allows you to experience peace despite the delay. If you face a health challenge, accepting your current reality opens the door to finding constructive solutions rather than being consumed by fear or anger. Practical steps to surrender. 1. Acknowledge what is. Notice when you're resisting a situation and consciously name it. For example, I feel frustrated because of this delay. 2. Let go of mental resistance. Instead of focusing on how the situation should be, focus on how it is and what you can do now. 3. Take action from acceptance. Surrender doesn't mean passivity. Once you accept the present, ask yourself, what is the best step I can take right now? Surrender and inner peace. Tolle emphasizes that surrender leads to inner peace. By aligning with the now, you stop fighting reality and begin to experience clarity, calmness, and even gratitude for life as it unfolds. He writes, "Whatever you fight, you strengthen, and what you resist persists. Surrender to what is and see how life begins to flow." Key takeaway: acceptance is the gateway to peace. By surrendering to the present moment, you transform resistance into clarity and freedom. Chapter 7. Inner Space. Chapter 7 introduces the concept of inner space. the stillness and awareness that lie beneath your thoughts and emotions. Inner space is the essence of who you are beyond the constant noise of the mind. It's where true creativity, peace, and freedom reside. What is inner space? Inner space is the silent presence within you that remains untouched by external circumstances. It's the space between your thoughts, the stillness that allows you to observe your mental and emotional patterns without getting entangled in them. For example, imagine watching a storm from the safety of a window. The storm represents your thoughts and emotions, while the stillness of the room is your inner space. Tolle explains that cultivating inner space allows you to respond to life's challenges with wisdom and calmness, rather than reacting impulsively. How to access inner space? 1. Meditation. Spend time in silence, focusing on your breath or a mantra to quiet your mind and connect with your inner being. 2. Observe your thoughts. Watch your thoughts as they arise and pass without judgment or attachment. Recognize that you are the observer, not the thinker. 3. Create gaps of stillness. Allow moments of silence between your thoughts. For example, after finishing a task, pause for a few seconds before starting the next one. Living with inner space. When you cultivate inner space, you bring stillness into every aspect of your life. In conversations, you listen deeply without rushing to respond, creating a sense of connection and understanding. In challenges, you approach difficulties with clarity and calmness, finding solutions rather than reacting with fear or anger. In creativity, inner space allows inspiration to flow freely, unencumbered by mental clutter. The benefits of inner space. 1. Emotional freedom. By creating space between you and your emotions, you can observe them without being overwhelmed. 2. Mental clarity. Inner space quiets the mental chatter, allowing you to think more clearly and make better decisions. 3. Connection to life. Inner space deepens your connection to the present moment and to the people and world around you. Tolle writes, "Space is not empty. It is full of presence, full of being." Through inner space, you connect with the vastness of life itself. Practical exercises to cultivate inner space. 1. Daily silence. Dedicate 5 to 10 minutes each day to sitting in silence and observing your thoughts. 2. Mindful pauses. Throughout your day, take brief moments to stop, breathe, and reconnect with your inner stillness. 3. Focus on the space between sounds. For example, notice the silence between words in a conversation, or the stillness between raindrops. Key takeaway: inner space is your sanctuary. By cultivating this stillness, you discover the peace, creativity, and freedom that exist beyond the mind. Chapter 8. Relationships and the Present Moment. In Chapter 8, Eckhart Tolle explores how presence can transform relationships. He explains that relationships often act as mirrors, reflecting our unresolved emotional pain and egoic patterns. While this can create conflict, it also provides an opportunity for profound growth and connection if approached with awareness. The role of the pain body in relationships. Tolle highlights how the pain body often takes over in relationships, especially intimate ones. This happens when old wounds and emotional patterns are triggered by a partner's words or actions. For example, a partner's comment might unintentionally evoke feelings of rejection or inadequacy from past experiences, causing an overreaction. When both partners' pain bodies are activated, conflicts escalate as each feeds off the other's negativity. Tolle explains that unconscious relationships, those dominated by the ego and pain body, are often marked by cycles of blame, resentment, and conflict. How presence transforms relationships. When presence is brought into relationships, it creates a space for healing and deeper connection. Instead of reacting unconsciously, presence allows you to 1. Recognize triggers. Notice when your pain body is activated and pause before reacting. 2. Communicate consciously. Respond with understanding and awareness instead of blame. 3. Hold space for each other. Allow your partner to express their emotions without trying to fix or judge them. Practical steps for bringing presence into relationships. 1. Listen fully. Be completely present during conversations, focusing on your partner's words and emotions without planning your response. 2. Notice your ego. Recognize when your need to be right or to win an argument stems from ego and let go of that need. 3. Practice forgiveness. Presence dissolves grudges and resentment by shifting your focus from past conflicts to the present moment. The purpose of relationships. Tolle redefines the purpose of relationships. They are not about fulfilling your needs or fixing your partner. Instead, relationships become a space for mutual growth and shared presence. By approaching relationships with awareness, they evolve from being sources of conflict to sources of joy and peace. Key takeaway: presence transforms relationships into sacred spaces for healing, growth, and authentic connection. Chapter 9. Beyond Ego and Awakening to Being. Chapter 9 delves into one of the core teachings of the power of now, transcending the ego and awakening to your true self. Tolle explains that the ego, the part of you that identifies with your thoughts, roles, and possessions, is the root of much suffering. Awakening involves shifting your identity from the ego to the deeper dimension of being. What is the ego? The ego is the mental construct of me and mine. It thrives on identification with roles. I am a parent. I am a CEO. Possessions. I own this car, so I am successful. Comparisons. I am better, worse than them. The ego constantly seeks validation and superiority, leading to feelings of insecurity, fear, and dissatisfaction. Tolle warns that as long as you identify with the ego, your sense of self will remain fragile and dependent on external circumstances. What is being? Being is the essence of who you are beyond the mind, ego, and external identities. It's the awareness that remains when you detach from your thoughts and connect with the present moment. Being is timeless, formless, and deeply peaceful. How to transcend the ego. 1. Observe the ego in action. Notice when you feel the need to prove yourself, seek validation, or defend your identity. This awareness weakens the ego's grip. 2. Disidentify from roles and labels. Remind yourself that you are not your job, possessions, or achievements. 3. Connect with being. Spend time in stillness, observing your thoughts and emotions without attaching to them. Awakening to your true self. Awakening is the realization that you are not your thoughts, emotions, or egoic identities. It's the recognition that you are the awareness behind them. This shift from ego to being brings a profound sense of freedom, as your sense of self is no longer tied to external circumstances. Tolle writes, "You find peace not by rearranging the circumstances of your life, but by realizing who you are at the deepest level." Key takeaway: by transcending the ego and awakening to being, you experience a deeper connection to life and true inner peace. Chapter 10. The Meaning of Surrender. The final chapter of The Power of Now focuses on the profound concept of surrender. Tolle explains that surrender is not about giving up. It's about letting go of resistance to what is and aligning yourself with the flow of life. What is surrender? Surrender means accepting the present moment fully and unconditionally. It's a state of non-resistance, where you no longer argue with reality. This doesn't mean passivity or complacency. It means responding to life from a place of peace and clarity, rather than fear or anger. Tolle writes, "Surrender is the simple but profound wisdom of yielding to rather than opposing the flow of life." Why resistance causes suffering? Resistance happens when the mind labels a situation as bad or wrong and fights against it. This inner conflict creates stress, anxiety, and unhappiness. For example, if you lose your job, resisting the situation with anger or despair only deepens your suffering. Surrendering allows you to focus on finding solutions or new opportunities. In relationships, resisting your partner's flaws or behaviors leads to frustration. Acceptance fosters understanding and growth. The power of surrender. When you surrender, you align with the present moment and open yourself to possibilities. This doesn't mean passively accepting injustice or negativity. It means approaching challenges with a calm, centered mind. Surrender transforms your experience in two ways. 1. Inner peace. By letting go of resistance, you free yourself from the mental and emotional turmoil caused by opposing reality. 2. Effective action. Surrender doesn't mean inaction. Once you accept the situation, you can take conscious, effective steps to improve it. Practical steps to surrender. 1. Practice non-resistance. Notice when you're resisting a situation and consciously release the tension. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, take a deep breath and focus on the present moment, rather than wishing things were different. 2. Ask empowering questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this moment teaching me?" Or, "What can I do right now?" 3. Focus on the now. Bring your attention to what is happening in the present, rather than what should or could be happening. Surrender and spiritual growth. Tolle explains that surrender is a spiritual practice. It connects you to a deeper intelligence, the universal consciousness, or life itself. When you surrender, you stop resisting life and instead flow with it, experiencing a sense of unity and trust. The ultimate surrender. Death of the ego. Tolle describes surrender as the ultimate death of the ego. When you stop resisting life, the ego loses its power, and you awaken to your true self as pure awareness. This realization brings liberation from suffering and a profound sense of peace. Key takeaway: surrender is the gateway to freedom. By letting go of resistance and aligning with the now, you experience life's flow and uncover its deeper meaning. Conclusion. The Power of Now is more than a book. It's a guide to living a life of peace, clarity, and joy. By detaching from the mind, embracing the present moment, and cultivating presence, you can transform your experience of life. The question is, are you ready to let go of the past and future and step fully into the now? Remember, the present moment is all you ever truly have. Thank you for listening to this summary, and don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing insights from timeless books like this.